The great meeting hall of Nexus Prime had never been so quiet. Counselor Veltara stood at the center of the room, her blue skin pale with fear. Around her, representatives from 12 different alien species sat in their floating chairs. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The only sound was the soft humming of the space station's air systems. Veltara's hands shook as she touched the control panel. The big screen above her head came to life. Images appeared that made even the bravest aliens look away. This was the planet Caridian, she said. Her voice was barely a whisper. Home to 4 billion of my people. Look at it now. The screen showed a world of ash and bone. Where once green forest had covered the land, now only gray dust remained. The oceans had turned black. Cities lay in ruins. Nothing moved. Nothing lived. The Korath came 3 months ago, Veltara continued. They ate everything. Every plant, every animal, every person. They stripped the minerals from the ground. They drank the seas dry. When they left, Caridian was dead. Ambassador Thexion from the Altarian Republic leaned forward. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. How many worlds have they taken? 17. So far, Veltara replied. My people are running out of places to hide. The Korath ships follow us everywhere. They never stop hunting. The screen changed to show recordings from space battles. Korath bioships looked like giant insects made of black metal and flesh. They moved through space like living things, twisting and turning. When they fired their weapons, green acid melted through enemy ships in seconds. Our defense fleets tried to stop them, Veltara said. The Korath destroyed every ship we sent. Their weapons are too strong. Their ships heal themselves when we damage them. We cannot fight them alone. Counselor Drex from the Mollusk Federation spoke up. His voice bubbled through his water tank. The Council has peacekeeping forces. We can send help. You tried already, Veltara said sadly. Remember the Battle of Proxion? The Korath destroyed 200 Council ships. They took apart your best weapons and made them useless. They learn too fast. They adapt too quickly. The room fell silent again. Everyone knew she was right. The Galactic Council had been formed to keep peace between the stars. But their forces were meant to stop small wars between civilized people. They were not built to fight monsters. What do you want us to do? Asked Ambassador Ylandra from the Crystal Worlds. If our fleets cannot stop them, who can? Veltara looked around the room. Her people were dying while these aliens talked. Every day, more Vallani ships fell to Korath hunters. Every day, more worlds burned. There is one option we have not tried, she said quietly. What option? Thexion asked. We could ask the humans for help. The room exploded with noise. Aliens started talking all at once. Some laughed. Some looked shocked. A few looked scared. The humans? Drex bubbled loudly. They only joined the Council 50 years ago. They are still new to space. Exactly, said Ylandra. What could they do that we cannot? They have a small fleet. No special weapons. They are primitives compared to us. But Veltara noticed something strange. A few aliens in the room had gone very quiet. Ambassador Keftar from the Insectoid, Hives was staring at his hands. General Vox Marin from the warrior clans had stopped moving completely. They looked afraid. You know something, Veltara said to them. What are you not telling us? Keftar's mandibles clicked nervously. The humans are different from other species. Different how? Thexion demanded. Their ships look normal, Voxmarin said slowly. But my people have sensors that can see deeper. Human vessels carry power sources we do not understand. They have weapon signatures that make no sense. That is impossible, Ylandra said. We have the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Do we? Keftar asked. When humans first arrived at the Council, my scouts tried to scan their ships. The readings were Disturbing. What kind of readings? Veltara asked. Energy levels that should not exist, Keftar said. Materials that should not be possible, and something else. What? Every human ship carries enough firepower to destroy a planet. Not damage it. Destroy it completely. The room went quiet again. This time, the silence felt different, heavier. That cannot be true, Drex said. The humans seem so peaceful. They trade with everyone. They follow all our laws. Yes, Voxmarin agreed. They are very polite, very friendly. But my warriors can smell predators. Humans smell like the most dangerous predators we have ever met. Veltara thought about this. She had met human traders many times. They always smiled and spoke softly. They brought gifts and told jokes. They seemed harmless, but now she remembered something else. In 50 years, no one had ever tried to attack human space. Not once. Pirates avoided human trade routes. Aggressive species gave human colonies a wide path. Everyone said it was because humans were boring and had nothing worth stealing. Maybe that was not the real reason. If they are so dangerous, Veltara said, why do they hide it? Perhaps, Keftar said carefully, they do not need to show their teeth until someone threatens them. Veltara looked at the screen again. Her people were dying. Entire worlds were becoming graveyards. The Council's fleets had failed. Soon the Korath would finish eating her species and move on to someone else. I will ask them, she decided. Are you sure? Thexion asked. If the humans are truly as dangerous as these warriors claim, asking for their help might be unwise. The Korath are already killing my people, Veltara said. What is the worst the humans could do? Kill us faster. She walked to the communication console and opened a channel to human space. The signal traveled through subspace to Earth, the human homeworld. After a few minutes, a face appeared on the screen. The human looked young and friendly. He had dark hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple blue uniform. This is Admiral Park Hyan of the Human Space Command, he said. How can we help you, Counselor? Veltara took a deep breath. Admiral, my people are facing extinction. We need military assistance against an enemy called the Korath Horde. Will you help us? Admiral Park was quiet for a moment. His expression did not change, but something shifted in his eyes. Something cold and sharp? Yes, he said simply. We will help you. How many ships can you send? Veltara asked. Enough, Park replied. We will handle this situation completely. Do not worry about the Korath anymore. The transmission ended. Veltara turned back to face the Council. Some aliens looked relieved, others looked worried. It is done, she announced. The humans will come. In the corner of the room, General Voxmarin whispered a prayer to his war gods, not for victory, for forgiveness for what they had just unleashed upon the galaxy. 3 days later, Veltara stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime. Through the thick glass, she could see empty space. The humans had promised to come, but she saw nothing out there except stars. Where are they? Asked Ambassador Thexion. He had come to watch for the human ships too. Maybe they changed their minds, suggested Drex. His water tank made soft, bubbling sounds. Maybe they realized they cannot fight the Korath. Veltara pressed her face against the glass. Her people were still dying. Every hour brought more. Reports of Korath attacks. Refugee ships arrived at council stations carrying stories of burned worlds and eaten cities. Suddenly, the space in front of them began to shimmer. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist. Then the first human ship appeared. It was not like any vessel Veltara had ever seen. The ship was long and black, covered in strange angles that hurt to look at. When starlight hit its surface, the light seemed to disappear into the metal. The ship was completely silent as it moved through space. By the ancient gods, whispered Thexion. How big is that thing? Before anyone could answer, more ships appeared. Then more, then more. Space around Nexus Prime filled with human vessels of all sizes. Some were as large as cities. Others were small and fast, moving like metal sharks between the larger ships. "Count them," Veltara said to the station's computer. "Counting," the artificial mind replied. "Current total, 347 vessels, still arriving." More ships kept appearing. The computer's count went to 400, then 500, then 600. The ships formed neat rows and columns, like soldiers on parade. But these soldiers were made of metal and death. "Final count," the computer announced. 847 ships. Veltara could not breathe. The Council's entire peacekeeping fleet had only 300 ships, and most of those were small patrol boats. The humans had brought almost 1,000 warships. "This is impossible," Drex bubbled nervously. "Where did they get so many ships? How did they build them without anyone knowing?" A new voice spoke behind them. "We have been building them for a very long time." They turned to see a human walking toward them. He was tall and wore a black uniform covered in silver stars. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard as stone. "I am Fleet Admiral Cho Minwoo," he said. "I command this fleet." "Admiral," Veltara managed to say, "we are grateful for your help, but we only expected a few ships." "A few ships would not be enough," Cho said simply. "The Korath are a serious problem. Serious problems require serious solutions." Thexion pointed at the massive fleet outside. "How many people crew those ships?" "Each ship has a full crew," Cho replied. "We brought 2 million humans to fight this war." 2 million? Veltara gasped. "That is larger than most species entire. Space forces." "Yes," Cho agreed. "We like to be thorough." A council officer ran up to them. His face was pale with fear. "Sirs, we have a problem. Our sensors are reading the human ships, and the numbers make no sense." "What kind of numbers?" Thexion asked. "Power output readings that should be impossible. Weapon signatures we cannot identify. And..." The officer paused. "Each ship seems to carry enough explosive force to crack a planet." Cho looked at the officer with mild interest. "Your sensors are working correctly." "But that would mean," Drex started to say, "that we brought enough firepower to destroy several solar systems," Cho finished. "Yes, that is correct." The aliens stared at him in shock. Veltara felt her legs go weak. "Why would you need so much power?" "Because," Cho said patiently, "when we agree to solve a problem, we solve it completely. No half measures, no compromises. The Korath will be eliminated." "Eliminated?" Thexion asked. "You mean defeated?" "No," Cho said. "I mean eliminated. Removed from existence. Made extinct." The word extinct hung in the air like a curse. No species in the galaxy talked about making other species extinct. That was the ultimate crime. The thing that civilized people never did. "Admiral," Veltara said carefully, "the Korath are monsters, but surely you do not mean to kill all of them." Cho looked at her with those cold eyes. "Counselor, your people called us because you were facing extinction. You asked us to save you. We will save you, but we will also make sure this problem never happens again." "By committing genocide?" Thexion said, his voice rising. "By removing a threat," Cho corrected. "The Korath exist only to consume and destroy. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be defeated and sent home. They will keep coming until every other species is dead or enslaved. The only way to stop them is to stop them permanently." Dr. Yang Hyejin approached the group. She was a small human woman wearing a white coat covered in strange symbols. "Admiral, the fleet is ready for combat operations." "What kind of weapons are you carrying?" Drex asked her. Yang smiled pleasantly. "Oh, Many types. We have kinetic accelerators that can shoot projectiles at 30% light speed, gravity bombs that can collapse stars, molecular dissolvers that can turn planets into dust, quantum destabilizers that can... That is enough, Doctor, Cho said quietly. Yang nodded and walked away. The alien stared after her in horror. You cannot be serious, Thexion said. Weapons that can collapse stars? That is impossible. Many things seem impossible until someone does them, Cho replied. Humans are very good at making impossible things possible. Captain Bei Taewan joined them on the observation deck. He was younger than the admiral but carried himself like a man who had seen many battles. Sir, the experimental ships are reporting ready status, he said to Cho. Experimental ships? Veltara asked. Oh yes, Cho said. We brought some prototypes to test, new weapon systems we have been developing. This seemed like a good opportunity to see how they work in actual combat. You are testing new weapons on the Korath? Drex asked in disbelief. Why not? Cho shrugged. They are going to die anyway. Might as well learn something useful while we kill them. Veltara felt sick. She had asked for help to save her people, but these humans talked about extinction and star-killing weapons like they were discussing the weather. Admiral, she said slowly, what exactly do you plan to do? Cho walked to the window and looked out at his fleet. 800 ships waited in perfect formation. Each one carried enough power to burn worlds. First, he said, we will find every Korath ship, base, and colony. Then we will destroy them all. No survivors, no prisoners, no mercy. And after that? Thexion asked. After that, the Korath will be extinct. Your people will be safe. And the galaxy will understand what happens when humans are asked to solve problems. Lieutenant Colonel Shin Bo-Ra appeared beside them. She was a compact woman with scars on her face and hands. Her uniform was different from the others, darker, and covered in symbols that looked like skulls. Admiral, the Marines are ready for planetary operations, she reported. What kind of planetary operations? Veltara asked. Cleanup, Shin said simply. After we destroy the Korath fleets, there will be ground forces left on occupied worlds. We will eliminate them and free any slaves we find. How will you tell the difference between Korath and slaves? Drex asked. Shin smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Our weapons are very precise. They can target specific DNA patterns. Only Korath will die. Cho turned back to face the aliens. Do you have any other questions? Veltara had many questions, but she was afraid to ask them. These humans seemed polite and friendly, but they talked about genocide like it was a simple job. They carried weapons that could destroy stars. They had brought enough ships to conquer half the galaxy. Just one question, she said quietly. Why? Are you really helping us? Cho considered this for a moment. Because you asked nicely, he said. And because the Korath are the kind of problem that spreads if you do not solve it completely. What do you mean? I mean, Cho said, that if we let the Korath live, they will eventually threaten human space. We prefer to deal with problems before they become our problems. The truth hit Veltara like a physical blow. The humans were not helping her people out of kindness. They were protecting themselves. The Villani were just convenient victims that gave humans an excuse to do what they wanted to do anyway. When do you leave? She asked. We leave now, Cho said. This conversation is over. The war begins. As if responding to his words, the human fleet began to move. 800 ships turned toward Korath space like a school of metal fish. They moved in perfect silence, disappearing one by one into hyperspace. In minutes, they were gone. Only empty space remained. Veltara stood at the window, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the most powerful fleet in galactic history was heading toward an enemy that had seemed unstoppable. She wondered if she had just saved her people or doomed the entire galaxy. The Kepler system had been a Korath stronghold for 6 months. 12 planets orbited the yellow star, and the Korath had built bases on everyone. Their bioships floated between the worlds like giant insects, feeding on captured ships and enslaved crews. Captain Lee Day stood on the bridge of the human dreadnought Iron Will. Through the main screen, he could see the enemy fleet. More than 300 Korath vessels hung in space around the 4th planet. They looked like living nightmares, part machine, part creature, all hunger. "How long do you estimate for the siege, Captain?" asked observer Kilmara. She was a council representative sent to watch the battle. Her people wanted to see how humans fought. Lee looked at her with surprise. "Siege? There will be no siege. But the Korath have hundreds of ships," Kilmara said, "heavily fortified positions. It will take weeks to break through their defenses." "No," Lee said calmly. "It will take 6 hours." Before Kilmara could ask what he meant, Lee turned to his weapons officer. "Commander Kim Sora, are all ships ready?" Kim checked her displays. Every human vessel showed green status lights. "All ships report ready for combat operations, sir. Begin Operation Clean Sweep," Lee ordered. The space around Kepler system suddenly filled with human ships. They appeared from hyperspace in perfect formation, surrounding the Korath fleet from every direction. 800 human vessels against 300 Korath bioships. "Even odds," Kilmara said hopefully. Lee smiled, but it was not a warm expression. "Observer, you misunderstand the situation. This is not a battle. This is an execution." The Korath fleet moved first. Their bioships twisted through space like serpents, firing streams of acid and clouds of metal-eating bacteria. It was the same attack pattern that had destroyed every enemy they had ever faced. The human response was immediate and devastating. Iron Will fired its main weapon, a kinetic accelerator that launched a projectile at 1/3 the speed of light. The metal slug hit a Korath bioship and simply erased it from existence. The ship did not explode. It did not break apart. One moment it was there, the next moment there was only empty space and a cloud of atoms. "Impossible," Kilmara whispered. "All around the system, human ships opened fire." But these were not normal weapons. Captain Lim Ye-jin's stealth corvette Silent Death fired gravity bombs that collapsed space itself, crushing Korath ships into black holes no larger than marbles. Major Quan Jin A's cyber warfare vessel sent signals that turned the Korath bioships' own nervous systems against them, causing the living vessels to tear themselves apart. The most terrifying sight was Commander Oh Dong-wook's experimental. Ship Absolute Zero. It fired a beam of pure cold, energy that removed all heat from whatever it touched. Korath bioships hit by the beam froze solid in seconds, then shattered like glass when they tried to move. "How is this possible?" Kilmara asked. "These weapons should not exist." "They exist because we built them," Lee replied, watching his fleet systematically destroy the enemy. "Humans have been preparing for this kind of war for 50 years. "What kind of war?" "Total war. Absolute war. The kind of war where you do not just defeat your enemy, you remove them from the universe." The Korath tried to adapt. Their bioships began changing their structures, growing new armor and weapons. It had always worked before. Against every other species, the Korath could evolve faster than their enemies could shoot. But human weapons targeted things that could not evolve. Physics itself. The fundamental forces that held matter together. The speed of light. The strength of atomic bonds. A Korath bioship tried to grow thicker armor. A human gravity weapon compressed it into a ball of neutronium. Another Korath vessel attempted to develop energy shields. A human molecular disruptor turned every atom in the ship into free-floating particles. "They are not fighting fair," Kilmara protested. Lee looked at her with genuine confusion. "Fair? Observer, this is not a game. This is extermination. Colonel Park Sung-ho's voice came over the communication system. Captain Lee, all orbital platforms have been destroyed. Beginning planetary assault. Through the main screen, they could see the fourth planet. The Korath had built massive hives on its surface, filled with millions of their kind and billions of enslaved aliens. Traditional military doctrine would require months of careful ground fighting to free the slaves without harming them. Humans had a different approach. Park's Special Forces ships descended toward the planet. They did not land troops. Instead, they released clouds of microscopic machines, nanobots designed with one simple purpose. Find Korath DNA, destroy it, leave everything else alone. The nanobots worked with terrible efficiency. On the planet's surface, Korath warriors simply collapsed and turned to dust. Their biotechnology failed as the machines that built it dissolved, but the enslaved aliens were untouched. "You are killing an entire species," Kilmara said in horror. "Yes," Lee agreed. "That is the point. But genocide is forbidden by galactic law." Lee turned to face her fully. For the first time, she saw something cold and alien in his human eyes. "Observer, your laws apply to civilized species. The Korath are not civilized. They are a plague. And the only way to stop a plague is to eliminate every trace of it." The battle continued for exactly 6 hours and 17 minutes. When it ended, not a single Korath remained alive in the Kepler system. Their ships were gone. Their bases were destroyed. Their ground forces were dust. Even their biotechnology had been reduced to harmless organic matter. "Scan for survivors," Lee ordered. Kim ran her sensors across the system. "No Korath life signs detected anywhere, sir. The system is clean." "What about the slaves?" Kilmara asked. 3 million liberated prisoners on the fourth planet," Kim reported. "All alive and unharmed. Medical teams are already treating the wounded." Kilmara stared at the screen in disbelief. The humans had just accomplished something impossible. They had completely destroyed a major Korath fleet and freed millions of slaves in less than 7 hours. It should have taken months. "How did you do this?" she asked. "Practice," Lee said simply. "Humans have been planning for this war since we first learned about the Korath. We studied their biology. We analyzed their tactics. We built weapons, specifically designed to kill them. But the other species tried to fight the Korath too. They all failed. Because they fought like civilized beings," Lee explained. "They used honorable tactics. They followed the rules of war. They tried to minimize casualties and preserve infrastructure. And you did not. Observer, when your house has termites, do you negotiate with them? Do you try to find a peaceful solution? No. You exterminate them completely, because that is the only way to protect your home." Lieutenant Commander Seo Yunbi approached them. "Captain, we are receiving surrender requests from 3 Korath scout ships at the edge of the system." "Surrender?" Lee asked. "The Korath do not surrender." "Apparently these ones do, sir. They are requesting safe passage to neutral space." Lee considered this for a moment. Then he shook his head. "Denied. Destroy them." "Sir?" Seo looked surprised. "You heard me, Commander. No survivors, no prisoners, no mercy." "But they are trying to surrender," Kilmara protested. Lee looked at her with those cold eyes again. "Observer, a few termites might try to run when you spray their nest. But if you let them escape, they will just build a new nest somewhere else. The only way to solve a termite problem is to kill every single termite." The 3 Korath scout ships died in flashes of light. Their final transmissions were cut off in mid-plea. "My government will protest this," Kilmara said quietly. "Your government asked us to save the Villani from extinction," Lee replied. "We are saving them. This is what salvation looks like when humans provide it." Major General Han Kyung-soo's face appeared on the communication screen. "Captain Lee, planetary cleanup is complete. All Korath eliminated. All slaves freed. No human casualties. Excellent work, General. Prepare for departure. Where are we going next? Han asked. Lee pulled up a star chart showing Korath territory. Red dots marked every system where the enemy had a presence. There were dozens of them. Everywhere, Lee said. Every Korath base, every Korath ship, every Korath world. We will not stop until they are extinct. As the human fleet prepared to leave Kepler's system, Kilmara watched the rescue ships collecting freed slaves. Millions of beings who had been doomed to death or worse were now safe. The humans had saved them all. But she could not forget the casual way Captain Lee had ordered the destruction of surrendering ships. The cold efficiency with which his forces had eliminated every trace of Korath presence. The simple, matter-of-fact way he talked about exterminating an entire species. "Captain," she said quietly, "what happens after you finish with the Korath?" Lee looked at her one last time before leaving the bridge. "After we finish with the Korath, observer, the galaxy will be a safer place. And everyone will understand that when humans offer to solve a problem, we solve it permanently." The human fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading for the next Korath system. Behind them, Kepler's system was quiet and clean. No Korath remained. No threat survived. Kilmara sent her report to the Council, but she wondered if anyone would believe what she had witnessed. Humans did not fight wars. They performed surgery, quick, precise, and absolutely final, and they were just getting started. For 3,000 years, the Korath had been the ultimate predators of the galaxy. They had never known fear. They had never retreated from a fight. They had never met an enemy they could not eventually defeat and devour. That changed after. Kepler system war leader Gexmorth floated in the biofluid of his command ship, watching reports from across Korath space. Every screen showed the same impossible truth. Human fleets were destroying everything in their path. "How many systems have we lost?" he gurgled to his tactical coordinator. 17 systems completely cleansed," the coordinator replied. 3 more under attack. No survivors from any of them." Gexmorth's feeding tentacles writhed in frustration. 17 systems meant millions of Korath dead. Entire breeding colonies wiped out. Centuries of expansion undone in weeks. What about our adaptation protocols? Are our ships learning to counter human weapons? No, war leader. The humans do not use conventional weapons. Our bioships cannot adapt to attacks that target physics itself. A new report came in from the Arcturus sector. Gexmorth watched in horror as human ships surrounded. A Korath fleet of 500 vessels. The battle lasted 37 minutes. When it ended, space was empty except for human ships and clouds of scattered atoms. "Impossible," Gexmorth whispered. "We had them outnumbered." "Numbers do not matter against these weapons," his coordinator said. "The humans can destroy our largest bioships with single shots." Meanwhile, Admiral Jang Mi-young stood on the bridge of her flagship Eternal Judgment. She commanded the human pursuit fleet, 300 ships tasked with hunting down fleeing Korath forces. "Status report," she ordered. Captain No Jae-wook consulted his intelligence displays. "Admiral, we have confirmed Korath retreat from 12 more systems. They are abandoning their forward bases and falling back toward the galactic rim, running." "Scared," said Lieutenant Commander Seo Eunbi with satisfaction. "For the first time in their history, the Korath are afraid." Jang studied the tactical display. Red markers showed Korath retreat routes leading away from human space. The enemy was trying to escape deeper into uncharted space where they could regroup. "They hope to run far enough that we will give up chasing them," Jang said. "They do not understand humans very well." "What are your orders, Admiral?" No asked. "Deploy the gravity nets. No Korath ship escapes." Across several star systems, human engineering ships began their work. They used gravitational manipulation technology to create zones where faster-than-light travel became impossible. Space itself was twisted into knots that trapped any ship trying to jump to hyperspace. The Korath discovered the traps too late. Fleeing bioships suddenly found themselves unable to escape star systems that had become prisons. Human pursuit. Fleets followed behind, methodically destroying everything they found. In the Vega system, 300 Korath ships tried to break through a gravity net. They fired every weapon they had at the invisible barrier. Nothing worked. Space remained locked. Major General Han Kyung-soo's assault fleet arrived 6 hours later. His ships did not bother with long-range combat. They simply flew through the trapped Korath fleet, firing point-blank into bioships that could not run or hide. "This is not warfare," transmitted one desperate Korath captain before his ship died. "This is slaughter." "Yes," Han replied over the open channel. "That is the point." Back in Council space, the news of human victories spread like wildfire. Species that had feared the Korath for centuries could hardly believe what they were hearing. On Nexus Prime, Veltara met with other Council members to discuss the reports. The numbers were staggering. Hundreds of Korath ships destroyed, dozens of occupied worlds liberated, millions of slaves freed. "It has been 6 weeks," she said to the assembled aliens. "In 6 weeks, the humans have done what our combined fleets could not do in 6 years. Ambassador Thexion looked troubled. "Perhaps we should be more concerned about how they are doing?" "It." "What do you mean?" asked Drex. "The reports from our observers are disturbing," Thexion said. "The humans are not just defeating the Korath, they are systematically exterminating them. No prisoners, no negotiations. Complete genocide." "The Korath would do the same to us," Veltara pointed out. "Yes, but we are supposed to be better than the Korath. We are supposed to be civilized." General Voxmarin spoke from his corner of the room. "There is something else you should know. My intelligence network has been monitoring human communications." "What kind of communications?" Veltara asked. "Fleet coordination signals. The humans are not just hunting Korath military forces. They are tracking down every Korath breeding facility, every biolaboratory, every genetic storage center." The room fell silent. What Voxmarin was describing went beyond military action. It was the deliberate elimination of an entire species' ability to survive. "They mean to make the Korath extinct," Drex said quietly. "Completely extinct," Voxmarin confirmed. "No survivors, no genetic material, no possibility of rebuilding their population." Dr. Kim Woo-jin worked in the research bay of the human ship scientific method. Around him, xenobiology teams studied samples of Korath biotechnology, recovered from destroyed vessels. "Fascinating," he murmured as he examined a piece of living metal under his microscope. "Their ships really are alive. The hull tissue can regenerate damage and adapt to new threats." His assistant, Dr. Park Min-jun, looked up from his own samples. "Any weaknesses we can exploit?" "Several," Kim replied. "But it does not matter. We are already winning." "Then why study them?" Kim smiled coldly. "To make sure we get them all. I am mapping their genetic markers, every variation, every adaptation, every possible mutation. When we are finished, there will be no Korath left anywhere in the galaxy." On the bridge above them, Captain Park Jun-seo monitored the hunt. His ship tracked fleeing Korath vessels using sensor technology that could detect biosignatures from light years away. "Contact," reported his sensor officer. "Single Korath scout ship heading for the outer rim." "Intercept course," Park ordered. "No escape." The scout ship was small and fast, but it could not outrun human technology. Park's ship caught up with it near a dead star system at the galaxy's edge. "Korath vessel, you are surrounded," Park transmitted. "Surrender and prepare to be destroyed." The reply came in broken galactic standard. "Please, no more kill. We run far. Never come back." "That is not acceptable," Park said. "The decision has been made. Your species ends here." But we no fight you. We just want live. Park felt no emotion as he gave the order to fire. The Korath scout ship died quickly, its bio-hull dissolving under human weapons. Another red dot disappeared from the tracking display. In the deepest regions of Korath space, war leader Gexmorth made a decision that no Korath leader had ever made before. He ordered a full retreat to the homeworld. "Abandon the outer territories," he commanded. "Recall all fleets, every ship, every warrior, every breeding mother. Bring them home." "War leader," his coordinator protested. "We have never retreated from battle. We have never faced extinction before," Gexmorth replied. "The humans do not fight like other species. They fight like a plague. They kill everything they touch." The Great Recall began. Korath bioships from across the galaxy turned toward their homeworld in the Andromeda Spiral Arm. Mighty fleets that had conquered 1,000 worlds came home in defeat. But they were not the only ones coming home. Admiral Jang watched the Korath fleet movements on her strategic display. Every enemy ship was heading for the same destination, a red giant star system that intelligence had identified as the Korath homeworld. "They are gathering their strength for a final battle," No observed. "No," Jang said. "They are gathering to die together. They know they cannot win." "How many ships will they have?" Jang consulted the latest intelligence reports. "Approximately 2,000 bioships, every Korath vessel still operational." SEO looked concerned. "That is a large force, Admiral, even for us." Jang smiled. "Commander, do you know what humans call 2,000 enemy ships gathered in one place?" "What, Admiral?" "A target-rich environment." She opened a communication channel to Fleet Admiral Cho Min-woo, who was coordinating the final assault from his command ship. "Admiral Cho, the enemy is massing at their homeworld. Shall we proceed with Operation Final Solution?" Cho's voice came back cold and certain. "Yes, and this." The human fleet began its final approach to Korath space. Every ship humanity had sent was converging on one system. 800 human vessels against 2,000 Korath bioships. But the humans were not coming to fight a battle. They were coming to complete an extermination. Gexmorth watched the human fleet arrive at the edge of his home system. Through his bioship's organic sensors, he could see the enemy vessels forming their attack formation. They moved with mechanical precision, like pieces of a vast killing machine. "Send a message to the humans," he ordered. "What kind of message, war leader?" Gexmorth's feeding tentacles drooped with defeat. "Tell them we surrender. Tell them we will leave this galaxy and never return. Tell them to let us live." The message was transmitted across space to the human fleet. Admiral Cho received it on his command bridge and read it without expression. "Admiral?" his communications officer asked. "How shall we respond?" Cho deleted the message without reply. "Begin the attack, no survivors." The red giant star burned with unnatural brightness. Where the Korath homeworld had once orbited, now only glowing gas and scattered debris remained. Fleet Admiral Cho Min-woo stood on the observation deck of his flagship, watching the last traces of an entire species disappear into stellar fire. "Scan complete, Admiral," reported Dr. Kim Woo-jin. "No Korath genetic material survives anywhere in the system. The species is extinct." "Confirmed extinct," added Captain Park Jun-seo from his science vessel. "Our sensors have swept the entire galaxy. No Korath biosignatures detected. 0 survivors." Cho nodded with satisfaction. "Mission accomplished. Signal all ships. We are returning to human space." The human fleet began its journey home. 800 ships had arrived at Korath space 3 months ago. 800 ships were leaving. Not a single human vessel had been lost. Not a single human life sacrificed. The same could not be said for the Korath. On Nexus Prime, the council chambers buzzed with shocked conversation. Ambassador Lee Sunmi stood at the center of the room, delivering humanity's final report on the Korath situation. "The threat has been eliminated," she said simply. "The Korath species is extinct. The galaxy is safe." Counselor Veltara stared at the human ambassador in disbelief. "Extinct? You mean all of them?" "All of them," Lee confirmed. "Every ship, every base, every colony, every individual. We located 2,847 Korath settlements across 943 star systems. All have been cleansed." "But that is genocide," protested Ambassador Thexion. "The complete destruction of an entire species." Lee looked at him with calm eyes. "Yes, that was the point." "How can you say that so casually?" demanded Drex from his water tank. "You have committed the greatest crime in galactic history." "Have we?" Lee asked. 3 months ago, the Korath were systematically exterminating the Volani. They had already destroyed 17 worlds and billions of innocent lives. They would not stop until every other species was dead or enslaved. But surely there could have been another way, Thexion said desperately. "What other way?" Lee asked. "Negotiation? The Korath do not negotiate. They only consume. Imprisonment? You cannot imprison an entire species. Exile? They would simply return when you were not watching." She walked to the central display and activated a holographic map of the galaxy. Red zones showed former Korath territory. The only permanent solution to the Korath problem was extinction. So we provided extinction. Your people are safe now. All people are safe now. Veltara felt sick. She had asked the humans for help, and they had given it. But the price was the complete obliteration of another species. "What gives you the right to decide which species lives and which dies?" she asked quietly. "You gave us that right," Lee replied. "When you asked us to save your people from extinction, you asked us to be gods. Gods decide who lives and dies." General Voxmarin spoke from his corner. "And what happens now? You have shown that humans can destroy any species you choose. Should we all be afraid?" Lee turned to face him. "That depends. Do you plan to threaten human space? Do you intend to commit genocide against other species? Do you want to become the next Korath?" "No," Voxmarin said quickly. "Then you have nothing to fear from us. We only eliminate existential threats. The Korath were a plague that would have consumed the galaxy if left unchecked. They had to be stopped. Ambassador Yelandra from the A. Crystal Worlds raised a shimmering hand. "But now the entire galaxy knows what human help looks like. You do not just win wars. You commit genocide." "We solve problems," Lee corrected. "Permanently. When someone asks for our help, they get real help. Not half measures, not temporary solutions, complete resolution." Dr. Yang Hyejin approached the group. She carried a datapad containing detailed records of the Korath extermination. "The operation was remarkably efficient," she reported to Lee. "Total time from first engagement to species extinction, 87 days. Resources expended, minimal. Human casualties, 0. 87 days, Veltara whispered. "You destroyed an entire species in less than 3 months." "The Korath had been around for over 3,000 years, Yang said. "They conquered hundreds of worlds and killed billions of sentient beings. 87 days was quite generous considering." Thexion looked horrified. "You speak of it like a business transaction." "It was a business transaction," Yang replied matter-of-factly. "The Council contracted us to eliminate a threat. We eliminated it. Contract fulfilled." Captain Bei Tae-wan entered the chamber carrying a sealed container. Inside was the last remaining sample of Korath biotechnology, a small piece of living metal from their ships. "Dr. Yang, final specimen for analysis," he said. Yang took the container and examined it briefly. Then she activated a small device that bathed the sample in strange energy. The living metal turned gray and crumbled to dust. "And now," she announced, The Korath are truly extinct. Even their technology is gone. She scattered the dust into a disposal unit. The last trace of a 3,000-year-old civilization disappeared forever. The council chamber fell silent. Representatives from dozens of species sat in their floating chairs, trying to process what they had witnessed. A single human woman had just casually destroyed the final remnant of an entire species as if she were throwing away garbage. "You are monsters," Thexion said quietly. Lee looked at him with something that might have been pity. "No, Ambassador. We are humans. And humans are very good at solving problems that other species cannot solve. By committing genocide. By doing what needs to be done. The Korath were a cancer. You remove cancer completely, or it comes back stronger." Veltara stood up slowly. Her people were safe now. The Korath threat was gone forever. But the price... On behalf of the Villani Republic, she said formally, I thank humanity for saving our species from extinction. "You are welcome," Lee replied. "I also formally protest the method you used. Genocide is wrong, no matter the circumstances." "Your protest is noted and filed," Lee said without emotion. "Is there anything else?" Veltara wanted to say more. She wanted to rage against the casual way humans talked about extinction. She wanted to demand justice for the Korath, monsters though they were. But her people were alive. Her worlds were safe. Her children would grow up free from the shadow of Korath hunger. "No," she said finally. "Nothing else." Lee nodded and prepared to leave. "The human fleet will return to our space now. We trust this lesson will be remembered." "What lesson?" Voxmarin asked. Lee paused at the chamber entrance. "That when humans offer to solve your problems, we solve them completely. And permanently." She left the chamber. The council representatives sat in stunned silence, processing the implications of what they had witnessed. Later, in her private quarters, Veltara composed a message to her government on the Villani homeworld. How could she explain what had happened? How could she tell her people that they were safe, but only because humans had committed the ultimate crime? Her door chimed. Ambassador Thexion entered, looking shaken. "I cannot sleep," he said. "Every time I close my eyes, I see that woman destroying the last Korath sample like it was nothing." "They saved us," Veltara said quietly. "Did they? Or did they just show the galaxy what they are capable of?" Veltara did not answer. She stared out her window at the stars, thinking about the human fleet that was somewhere out there, heading home after completing their work. "Do you think they planned this?" Thexion asked. "What do you mean?" "The Korath have been a threat for centuries, but they never attacked human space directly. What if the humans were waiting for an excuse to destroy them?" Veltara considered this. The humans had seemed remarkably well prepared for the war. Their weapons were too advanced, their tactics too refined. They had acted like they had been planning the Korath extinction for years. "It does not matter now," she said. "What is done is done." But what about the future? The humans have shown they can destroy any species they choose. What if they decide we are a threat? Veltara turned to face him. Then we make sure we never give them a reason to think that. The next day, the Galactic Council passed Emergency Resolution 2387-5. The resolution officially thanked humanity for eliminating the Korath threat. It also established new protocols for requesting human military assistance. The protocols were very specific. Any species that asked for human help would receive exactly what they asked for, complete elimination of their problem. No half measures, no mercy, no survivors. The resolution passed unanimously. Trade with human space increased dramatically in the following months. Every species wanted to maintain good relations with the galaxy's apex predators. Wars between council species virtually ceased. No one wanted their conflicts to escalate to the point where humans might offer to help. The galaxy was more peaceful than it had been in centuries. In her final report to the Villani government, Veltara wrote, "We are safe. The price was higher than we imagined, but we are safe. The Korath are gone forever, and we will never have to fear them again." She paused before adding the final line. "We must pray that we never need human help again." Light years away, in human space, Fleet Admiral Cho Minwoo filed his mission report. It was brief and efficient. Like the operation itself, Korath threat eliminated, species extinct, galaxy secure, mission accomplished. He sealed the report and sent it to Human. "Command," then he turned to his aide.